Hello and welcome to this week's episode of For the Love of Chiropractic, Keys of My Success. I hope you listened to last week's episode with Dr. Sarah Calta. She is arguably the most successful young chiropractor in practice today. Having been in practice less than 5 years, her office collected over $1 million in its very first year. She was kind enough to agree to do a second interview with me so we could really dig into some of the keys that have helped to make her so successful, because she wants to share them with you to help you be more successful also. So let's get started with today's show. Hello and welcome to Secrets of My Success, part of For the Love of Chiropractic podcast series. On each episode, I'll be interviewing one highly successful doctor or business person, asking them what are their 3 keys of success or secrets they've used to make themselves so highly successful. So let's get started with today's show. So I have on the phone with me Dr. Sarah Calta again. She and I did a fantastic episode. I hope you listened to last week's episode because it was so full of amazing information. I was dumbfounded with the beautiful, amazing things that came out of this incredibly inspiring young doctor's mouth with her words and her wisdom. I have her on the phone again today, and she's agreed to answer a few more questions for me. Sarah, are you there?
I'm here.
It is so good to have you on the phone again. So, in last week's episode, you said multiple times the words chiropractic why, and you went into detail about why you became a chiropractor and the influence that I had in that. But again, it's your body, finding its health again. So I'd like you to talk a little bit more about, you said your staff has to have a why, the associate chiropractors have to have their why. Can you give me some more information about, and you even said that young doctors getting out of school, they have to know their chiropractic why. Talk more about that, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So at the end of the day, it's about being able to create a space of healing. Okay. And when you think about if you were a patient, the type of environment you would want to walk into, it would be a place where people know your name, where those individuals are inspiring to you because they have been inspired, right? It's about creating a space where you can talk to any individual in that practice and they are all on the same level. And so having a chiropractic why is so important. And I think we talk about it in chiropractic school, but I think where sometimes it's lost is we don't communicate it in an effective way to not only our patients, but also to our employees themselves. Because I believe if the people are in my practice and they are not able to communicate how important chiropractic is, then I've done something wrong as a leader, because every single person is a reflection of me. So when you're sitting in a practice, if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, well, I don't think my chiropractic assistant could explain why someone needs x-rays and why they should be coming in at 3 times a week. That's something I just always do. And I just tell them if, they have questions about the doctor's recommendations to just come get me. It's like, well, that's a reflection of how what you're choosing to speak with your staff about. And so we make sure that it's also hiring. Like when I hire, I make sure my Indeed ads have 2 open-ended questions. And one of the questions is, have you been adjusted before? How was your experience? And the second question is, why do you want to be part of our holistic mission? And I exclude almost every single applicant that does not have some type of excitement around holistic healthcare. Because if they are medically minded, then they are not going to be in a position that is shapeable enough for them to work in my practice. And now that doesn't mean that they haven't been adjusted before, but because I've had people that some of my biggest, chiropractic advocates were never adjusted before they came into my practice. But it's like understanding that every single person in your practice is an extension of you. And if they don't have a chiropractic why, then you could have that one CA up front that the patient's more comfortable talking to them maybe than you, because you're the doctor and you might be intimidating to them. And if they go to your CA and try to say something and ask a really important question, you don't want to lose that patient because you didn't do your due diligence to make sure your whole staff is trained. And so again, like I said previously, I tell my staff, if this is not a place you want to be, then just tell me. Because we have a mission, and when we walk in, it is not about us. It is not about what we've been through. It is about chiropractic and helping people in healthcare, and every person needs to be on board. And if they're not, no one to blame other than you yourself as a leader.
So many doctors that I've spoken to over decades now say, yeah, I have trouble hiring staff, said I found this person, they seem nice enough, and they're in a tough place in their life, so I think I'll give them a chance, because they need the job and I need the help. How would you comment on that?
Literally, that's crazy to me. Like, it's not surprising to me. It's not surprising because I have those conversations too. Like, I help people with hiring. But you look at that and it's crazy. Like I totally agree with this because half the time people hire chiropractic assistants, because I look at the job applications on Indeed, because obviously you want to make sure your application's competitive. Half of them are hourly and they're like $15 to $20 an hour. It's like you literally have someone in your practice that represents you. If you aren't hiring someone that is going to take healthcare seriously, they should not be working for you. And surprise, on top of that, you're making more work for yourself. Because if you're the only one that can have a serious conversation in your practice, then why do we have someone working at the front desk just to answer phone calls?
Yep.
And it's a lot harder. You have to invest. My CAs are on salary, right? It's nothing not probably crazy. They eventually work up and they get gross collections. They get bonus on gross collections. We do a lot of things to motivate them, but your hires, you should never have an easy hire. And I also never hire someone that puts on their application for their why of looking for something new, excited to do something different in my life. Because I don't view this position as, you should try it out. I view this position as, no, we're coming in to make patients' lives better, and you want to be shapeable. You want to learn more about chiropractic specifically and how it can help people. This isn't a time for you to experiment on what you want to do with your life. That's not in this practice.
Yeah, exactly. So many doctors think of, my office is a stepping stone. It's a self-help program. This person's in a rough spot, so this will help get them out of a rough spot.
No, you're making so much more work for your. Plus, who likes hiring? Why would you hire someone that you know is for sure going to leave unless they want to be a chiropractor?
Right.
Even then, I'm kind of so. Yeah, no, you're making so much more work for yourself.
Right. Well,
my employees have been with me over 3 years.
See, and that's fabulous. I think you have an obligation to your patients, to the community that you are serving, to have the Class A gold standard team to help them with their health.
Absolutely. And if you're constantly a stepping stone, your patients aren't going to feel any type of personal connection to the rest of your team.
Exactly.
And again, here's the biggest thing too, is a lot of chiropractors want freedom, right? We talked about freedom last time. If your practice relies on you being in there because you have not empowered the rest of your staff, then you will never be able to take a vacation. You will never be able to step out of your practice and still make money. So there's so many reasons. It's because of your patients and giving them a great experience. But also, if that's not going to motivate you, then look at the type of life you want to live. Because if you're patients seem happy with how I'm doing it right now. Well, if you want to go take a 10-day vacation like I did in May, I went to Ireland, and still be profitable and come in and there's no fires for you to put out, then you need to empower your staff and have a staff you can trust with almost everything. And so if you're not doing that, you're literally just harming yourself, as well as not giving your patients the experience they can have of, hey, I've been here for 3 years and I still know Danielle.
Right. And you made such a beautiful point, again, last week when we spoke, talking about there are great chiropractors who choose to be lifetime associates. They have great hands, they do great adjustments, they change people's lives exponentially, and the number of lives they have changed, again, just grows, literally week by week, day by day, year by year, decade by decade, and that's phenomenal.
Right.
And then you made an interesting point that I specifically noted that I wanted to get back to talk to you, and that's why we're on the phone today, talking about, but there's a different reason to leave that associateship and open your own business. And you have to know what that is. Can we dissect that out a little bit?
Yeah. Do you mean like more explanation of that, or do you mean personally what my reason is?
Both.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I think one of the mistakes people make is a lot of times the reason they want to open a business is either for prideful reasons of like, oh, well, I don't want to work for anyone, I just want to own, right? Or they say, well, I'm just as skilled as my owner chiropractic wise. I'm just as good of a doctor. I'm a better doctor. So I should be the one that owns my clinic. And I don't disagree with that, but there's a difference between being a good doctor and a great chiropractor and being a good business owner.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like I said, having a why for why you are choosing to leave your job where you have sustainability, right? And you're still changing people's lives to then have your name on the door and be in charge. Right. And so, for example, the best way to explain this is just how I feel about it, which is, I don't own a business just because I want to change a ton of lives and, I want to be a chiropractor. I could be a chiropractor and go work for another chiropractor and make 6 figures and have none of the stress that I have right now. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why am I choosing to be a business owner? And for one of the things, like I said previously, which I won't explain again, is I enjoy growth. I have a growth mentality. I want to start something from nothing and build it. And even better, create a space that aligns with my values and create a space that I want to be in. One of the other reasons I like it is because I take pride in being a leader who also helps their employees in the sense of getting to see employee development as well. Like the girls that have started with me, some of them were very young, and they have created better communication skills. They now all have passions for chiropractic, where like, I know one day, of course, like people normally aren't with you forever, right? One day if they leave, like I know they're still going to go and get adjusted. They've learned how to communicate with people that are hard to communicate with. They've learned how to have empathy with people. They've grown into themselves because they know how to talk with confidence, and be with themselves. And that was because of opportunities that this practice gave them, right? They now train other staffs. And so it makes me feel good to also, which is a little bit, I guess, selfish, but it makes me feel good to see them develop. And I like to think that they're learning things in this company that they might not have gotten otherwise. And again, they were hired because they were qualified with the position, but it's still, even when you hire qualified people, it's still your job to develop them. And so if they're not growing in their positions, again, you're not doing what you need to as a leader. Like all of those things make me feel really satisfied and they give me fulfillment. And I couldn't do that if I was an associate. So I take that very seriously. And again, just being able to create something that wasn't there before, that aligns with your values and serves people. And that is fulfilling for me. The struggle when we had 2025 was really hard for us this year. And that whole time I was sitting with my staff, we were being innovative. We were changing systems. We were trying things out. We changed systems that had worked for us for the last 3 years. We changed our sales process and diving in and being innovative. I like being innovative because I realized if I can figure out how to improve my practice, I can then share that with others. And so this has given me the opportunity to be a consultant for people. And that's been a blessing. So really, all those things were because I was an owner. And that's why on the really hard days, it's about, I enjoy that at the end of the day. I enjoy figuring the puzzle pieces out. And again, before I learned anything, we were profitable, and it was like, I wasn't feeling fulfilled. And so people that haven't experienced that profitability, like, hear that and they think I'm crazy, but it really is like, you can't be opening a business because of money. You just can't. You're not going to be happy.
Exactly. So, what I heard you say, and I wrote it down as you were talking, to own your own business is to create a world and make the rules, versus working in a business. The world is created and I see how to work in that world. Yeah. And it's where are you most comfortable? I don't mean you personally, because it's obvious where you're most comfortable. But for each person, that's where that's a really good way to figure out, okay, where do you fit in? Some people don't want to make the rules. They don't want to figure it out. They don't want to have to create this whole space. No. Mm-hmm. You know what? Put me in a space and I can work in any space. I just, once I know what the space looks like. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not the entrepreneur. That's not the business owner. Yeah. I couldn't agree with you more.
I think the biggest thing to add to that too is like, okay, you want to make your own rules, but that is also a privilege. And it is an honor to get to lead a staff of people, and to do it in a way where people want to follow your quote unquote rules, right? So if you want to actually be successful and have people that want to work for you, then you need to make sure that the rules that you are creating are not just rules you want to live by, but also make sense and, again, align with values that are legitimate. Because I've also seen leaders who neglect that. So even if that's what you want to do, you need to make sure your heart's in the right place when you are making these rules, because as soon as you become a leader, it is no longer all about you. Right. And I've seen very successful people forget that and fall.
One of the U.S. presidents famously had a sign on his desk that said, "The buck stops here." Because the man was president of the United States, and whatever was going on, it came onto his desk, and he had to figure it out, make it happen, and take care of it. Yeah. And that's a lot like being a business owner. But what a lot of people don't know, I have been told, do you know what was written on the back of that sign?
No.
He literally had the sign on the desk in the Oval Office. On the back of the sign said, and I may be misquoting it slightly, but it said, "I'm just a farmer from Iowa."
Oh, yeah.
Humble.
That's great. Yeah. Yeah.
So the world looks a certain way from where you sit to the rest of the world. And from where you sit, it looks a little bit different if you have the proper mindset.
Absolutely.
So you said one other thing that I just have to comment on, because one of the previous episodes was looking at doctors' salaries. And we spent an entire episode having done a ton of research on what different doctors earn. So chiropractors, medical doctors, the PhD mathematician, the PhD English professor, all of the different doctors. And what's fascinating is the average doctor salary. So a person who has a doctorate degree, when we did the episode, I believe the average salary was $102,000 a year.
Wow.
The average chiropractor in the United States earns less than that. And you kept saying 6 figures. The average chiropractor actually earns 5 figures.
Yeah. Which is, that's a whole nother episode, which is probably why you guys did it. But
it's unfortunate.
It's very sad.
In chiropractic, we have I hate to say the secret, but we have the secret of health and vitality, and so many of our fellow practitioners just can't seem to help share that word and that message.
Yeah. Yeah, we have no one to blame but ourselves.
Oh, exactly.
And I don't know if they used to say this for you, but it's like the idea that like the chiropractors like eat their young.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard that?
Yep.
And so to hear that just makes me so mad. Part of it, I do actually think we have to remember that business owners are included in that. Because I know a lot of business owners that don't make six figures right now.
Oh, absolutely.
So that in itself is a conversation of, we're not being trained in school to, number one, truly be successful in business, which, that's not, school's job is to, help us pass boards and get licensed and we become chiropractors. But it's like, when people are eventually successful, it's like, well, if you go to hire someone, how much do you value that employee? How much do you value what they bring?
Mm-hmm.
And again, if you hire someone and you have to pay them $60K, because if you pay them six figures, it's going to not make sense to your practice, then you need to be a better business owner and figure out how to have a practice where you increase net earnings and pay your doctors what they deserve.
Right.
And if you're just cheaping out, then you don't deserve to have that employee.
Shame on you. Exactly.
And again, they need to earn their salary. But how do they earn it? By you as the leader creating very clear, again, clarity, expectations, so that they can then live up to what your expectations are of them. But yeah, I mean, it's really sad. It's not surprising. Hopefully it changes one day. But like, yeah, I mean, I'm also in Jersey where maybe move to Jersey because a lot of people are making six figures because it's so dang expensive. But no, yeah, I mean, again, I think that's a business leadership issue. So it always comes down to leadership, in my opinion.
I think you're absolutely right. Business is business, whether it's a restaurant, an oil change business, a chiropractic office. Business is business, and there are certain principles that just don't change. I understand that that professions and certain jobs, have certain pieces to them. Absolutely, a plumber has to buy pipe a certain way. Okay, and electricians buy wire a certain way, and chiropractors buy face paper a certain way. But you know what? You have your supplies.
Mm-hmm.
So
you know what else I would add to that too, though, is also if you can't pay an associate what you need to pay them, then look at your numbers and you tell me what you think the value of your adjustment is.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
so our adjustment, our price per visit is our price per single visit with no cash is with no insurance is $100.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can't pay your associate, what are you charging? That would be my first question. Mm-hmm. Because if you're devaluing your care, then you have to devalue your employees as well.
Of course. Yeah.
So, anyways, that's a whole nother conversation. But that would be my follow-up to that.
So, Sarah, I can't thank you enough for the time that we've spent and answering all of this. And I really appreciate the opportunity to sit down with you again the second time and chat. I have one last question for you. You said a couple different times that you have had the opportunity to work as a consultant with some different businesses. Mm-hmm. Would I be imposing too much to ask if somebody wanted to speak to you? How would they get in touch with you?
They could, I guess, send me an email. I'm pretty good with my emails. So if they ever wanted to reach out and have a conversation, then just email me and we can put something on the calendar. And
what is the email that they should use?
It's a hard email, but it is Dr. So doctor, but just Dr. My name, SARAH. C as in cat at 100% spelled out doc.com. So drsarah.c at 100%doc.com.
Perfect. And certainly, and if that's too difficult for someone, they can always reach out for the website that we have for this podcast, and I will forward that to you as well. Dr. Sarah Calta, thank you so much again for chatting with me. I love knowing you all these years. I love seeing your success, and most of all, love chatting with you.
Absolutely. It was so fun talking to you. And again, thanks for everything you've done, because the only reason I'm here is because you had my dad adjust me. I mean, you talked to my dad so you could adjust me. So it's cool. I appreciate it always.
Have a great day, Sarah.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. And that's our show for today. If you have a question about today's show or your own practice, feel free to reach out at fortheloveofchiropractic.com. Before making changes to your practice, be sure to seek legal advice regarding those changes and regulations in your state. For the Love of Chiropractic is an RGF production, all rights reserved. And thanks for listening. Original music provided by Hunter Rich Music.